everybody, it's me, Zach, this is Judy, and welcome back to our channel. Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and I'm back again with another recap of our favorite show in the 1,000 Pound Cinematic Universe. We're talking about this week's episode of the 1,000 Pound Besties on TLC, starring Megan, Vanessa, Tina, and Ashley. Yes, we're back again. I hope you all had a lovely week since the last time we were here talking about the show together. I had a great one. I went and saw Reba. Oh, yes. Lifelong dream to see Reba in concert, and it finally happened. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is this week's show. But before we get to that, I do just want to give a shout out to Tina from the show, who frequently is in my comments on these videos, giving extra information, giving her perspective on what happened, and I really appreciate that. It's always fun to see people interact with my content like that. Amy occasionally used to do it in the past as well. From the 1,000 Pound Sisters. Sorry if I'm just like throwing out. I assume you all know who Amy is. But it's fun to see her comments, and I did just want to touch on a few things, although I'm not going to read the comments out as I talk about them. If anything, I'll put them up like right here, and you can pause and read her full comment, or just go to last week's video and go find them. She did talk to the experience of Ashley, who really does have a full-time job and had to like actually take off time and just in order to be able to film. So it kind of confirms what I was thinking, which is just that like her schedule is not nearly as flexible as all the other women. She also did mention that they did stay on track and on diet the whole time that they were in Florida, outside of Megan doing a little bit of extra drinking of calories. And she also did say like, yeah, a lot of people were surprised that I wasn't bothered by Vanessa's bikini, but honestly, by the time they had filmed that, she was starting to get more comfortable, loosen up a little bit more. She had had a conversation with her family about what they were comfortable with being on television, and she even said that she actually wanted her own string bikini, but she just couldn't find one that was in her size that she could wear on the show. And then there was one comment that I did just want to like clarify on my end, because she talked about how she wanted to clarify that she didn't feel like that just because she was overweight or that they were overweight or that they were obese, that didn't mean that they couldn't eat out. And I 100% agree. That was not necessarily my point. My point wasn't like, oh, like people who are morbidly obese shouldn't be going out to eat or things like that. The point I was trying to make about the show in general is that they were sending them on these trips. Every other scene felt like a scene where they were out eating somewhere. And some of those things did happen occasionally on the 1,000 Pound Sisters, but we got so much more content on the 1,000 Pound Sisters of Amy and Tammy just sitting in their house, like talking and having conversations and things like that, you know? So I feel like that's a little bit of what was missing for me, because it just seemed like it was all set up and we weren't getting like authentic things. Like, I'm sure they do go out to eat occasionally, but it's like we've seen so little where they've just been like hanging out at home having these genuine, authentic conversations. So that's all I was saying. I think people can eat wherever they want. I also do believe like you can go out to eat and make healthy choices. So just so that's clear on my end. But I do also know that Tina is trying to like get a following on her YouTube channel. I saw her advertise it on Instagram. So if you want to go give her a follow, make sure to go check her out. I think she and Megan do some videos together over there. And I'm sure she would appreciate the follow from y'all. The only other thing I want to touch on is a follow-up conversation about Megan's drinking, because a lot of people seem to think that it was, in my comments specifically is where I'm talking about, a lot of people seem to think it was like a little bit of an overreaction for Megan's friends to be so concerned about Megan just based off of that one night of drinking. And I get it in the context of just what we've seen on the show. It does seem like a little bit of an over-exaggeration. Like, I think we've all, those of us that have partaken in healthy relationships with alcohol, we've all had a night where we're like, wow, we really probably should have stopped after that one drink. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't make anybody like an alcoholic or make it a problem. But with that being said, you don't know what we haven't seen on the show. We get like a small window or glimpse of what is going on. So for all we know, that this could be a larger issue off camera. And I do also just want to point out that Megan specifically brought it up as something she was concerned about in therapy, okay? So, like, it's not even just stuff that the other women said that was an issue. It's something that Megan herself was concerned about. And maybe her behavior that one night was enough for her to be like, wow, I don't want to go down this path. Like, I could see it going down this path and I don't want to, and that's why she brought it up to her therapist. So I just want to keep all of those things in mind. I think that really, truly, like, all of the besties had Megan's best interests at heart, and I think that that is what they were concerned about. I don't know that you need to, like, read much more into it than that, and it seems like Megan wants to make sure that she is partaking in healthy behaviors as well. So anyways, now that that's all taken care of, 6 minutes in, 6 minutes into the video, now that that's all taken care of, let's talk about this week's episode, which I feel like this was a really, like, heartwarming episode. It's a big difference from the 1,000 Pound Sisters, where I feel like we just keep getting a lot of heartwarming stuff. Now, I will say the beginning of the episode starts off a little difficult, and if you have struggles or need a content warning, Vanessa does at the very beginning of the episode talk about her history of doing sex work in order to make ends meet. So she basically shares with the therapist that she, at one point, it's not in recent history, but years ago, she had to do sex work in order to be able to pay bills and in order to take care of her kids, things like that. And she's carrying, like, a lot of shame and guilt and things like that around this job history. She does a really good job of talking about why it's so difficult for her to talk about.
By talking about it, you have to live it, and you have to talk, you see it, the ugly that is inside that I keep hidden from the world all the time.
And it's just very clear that she is hurting, and I appreciate how vulnerable she's being, because, like, keep in mind, she's not just sharing this for the first time with her therapist. She's sharing this for the first time with a room full of producers, cameramen, production assistants. Like, I'm sure, like, we only see the three of them, Megan, Vanessa, and the therapist in the room, but she's sharing this with a whole bunch of strangers, and on top of that, she knows in the back of her mind that this is going to be on national TV. So I just, like, am so proud of her. I really feel like she was being so genuine, authentic, sincere about, like, the challenges she's faced. And it really felt like she was like, hey, I'm sharing this because I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to make changes in my life and things like that. I also just really appreciate this therapist. It's clear she's very good at what she does because, you know, Vanessa's like, it's very hard to forgive myself for this behavior, for these things that I did. And the therapist is like, well, would you forgive Megan for something she did? Your kids? Other people in your life? So if you can grant that forgiveness to them for things that they've done, why can't you forgive yourself? And so they have a really powerful moment, I think, where she gets Vanessa to start thinking on that track that, like, you can forgive yourself for the things that you've had to do for whatever reason. And honestly, I appreciate that. I mean, I think sex work is really stigmatized as it is anyways, and lots of people have to do it for a variety of different reasons, or lots of people want to do it for a lot of variety of different reasons. And I don't think it's something that Vanessa should feel shame about. And I hope that she is able to eventually, like, forgive herself and or just be comfortable with that part of her life, that was a thing that she did at one moment in time. You know what I'm saying? I also feel like this explains some of her behaviors in the past. I think a lot of people on my channel, and myself included, had a lot of questions about why she was just, like, constantly bringing up sex all the time, and, like, why everything was always about sex. And now I kind of feel like it makes sense that she brought it up. It's clearly something that she struggled with, something that she's been holding on to, and it makes sense that is something that she would constantly be joking about and making fun of and talking about and being so open about it, is because she's trying to get comfortable with that part of her life herself. You know what I'm saying? And I also just feel like it also makes sense that she's just, like, so loud and out there and things like that, because I think sometimes we get into these places where we're feeling sad, depressed, whoever, whatever, and we put up this front to everybody else that, like, life is great, life is fun, we're the life of the party. And then the reality is we're really struggling and hurting from something that happened in our lives. So I don't know. I really appreciated this whole scene. I feel like Vanessa was very vulnerable, and we got to know a whole lot more about her and what motivates a lot of her actions and and her choices in life. So the next thing we get is Megan and Tina at Tina's house, and they are doing a little workout with Tina's son Aiden. And this kid is so bossy, but also such a ham for the television show. Like, he knows the cameras are there and he knows what he's doing.
It's time to work that sweat on.
It's time to work that sweat on. What am I going to happen if I don't?
They will take away your dinner.
Please promise you won't kill me.
Get up.
And I have to say, this is like the more organic, like natural kind of scene that I was longing for, not just like them out to eat or them on vacations and trips, but this is really what I was longing for. I'm like, Tina and Megan live together in the same house, and we very rarely see them like doing stuff together there. And I feel like this was really one of those things that just seemed like something a little bit more natural that they would be doing together on just any given random day. After they get done with their workout with Aiden, all four of the girls hop onto a Zoom call together, which I'm sure they're doing more Zoom calls and stuff like that. One, because it's probably easier to plan around like Ashley's work schedule, for instance, but also probably because of COVID and things like that when they were filming. I'm sure that was happening when all of this was happening. So I don't know, we have been getting a lot of like Zoom and FaceTime and things like that on the show. So they start talking about their like high school reunion thing that they're gonna go to, which like I guess it's cleared up now that they also knew Ashley in high school. I don't know, I've been very confused because I've always kind of thought that Ashley was only connected to them through Vanessa, but it does seem like they might have all known each other in high school. I don't know. I guess Ashley went to high school with them. I'm still not entirely sure, but it does look like Ashley is going to go to this high school reunion, which would lead me to believe that she also went to the high school with them. And Megan has some general concerns about, like, what people will think about her and, you know, like, if she gained weight, if she's succeeded in life, things like that. And honestly, Ashley's, like, a great hype woman and also is ready to tell these people, like, don't worry about it.
Half of those people are going to be, you know, have gained weight, and none of them are rocket scientists. So, you know, when you go to a reunion, you're just catching up. And I don't think that you have anything to prove to anyone.
I just live for her saying, like, half of them will have also gained weight, and none of them are rocket scientists. So, like, none of them are really doing anything that great with their lives. Like, chill out. I think we often put pressure on ourselves in situations like this. Like, we're really concerned about what all these people that we knew years ago are going to think about us. But the reality of the situation is that most of these people haven't thought about us a day in their lives since we stopped going to high school with us. And even if we go to things like a reunion, they're going to think about us at that reunion, and then after it, they're going to forget about us again. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Ashley has the right idea. And then I don't really know how they got to this point. They started talking about, like, reunion food, like food at the reunion, and then started talking about how they can't stop thinking about it, dreaming about it, and somehow we got to this point where Megan was dreaming about everybody being a sandwich.
Y'all don't want to know what I dreamed about the other night. We were all sandwiches.
We were all
So what was
sandwiches.
that, roast beef or?
I have to be an unwitch. I'm allergic to bread.
So I don't know. But if anything I took from this scene, Ashley, in addition to Vanessa, both amazing hype women. They are ready to build their friends up, lift them up, and I appreciate that. We need more people, more friends like that in this world. The next thing we see is Vanessa going to get a stress test just to see if she's going to be able to even have surgery once upon a time somewhere down the road. Because if her body can't even handle surgery, then what's the point? Which I do see them talk about this a lot on different shows, like My 600 Pound Life. I feel like Dr. Now is always saying, like, hey, we're going to get you a stress test, but we never actually see it. So I've never experienced this in my personal life, so I was kind of surprised to see some of the things they made Vanessa do. But I also have a lot of questions because Vanessa basically is almost having, like, an anxiety attack during this little moment. And she talks also about how she was so stressed and anxious about this stress test that she wasn't able to eat. So she hadn't eaten since, like, the day before she came. So, like, her blood sugar was low, she was shaky, And that's not a good combination when they're like having you breathe heavily into a little like tube thing. And at one point they put her on a bicycle with like all these contraptions all over her face.
You're doing good. Keep it up. Keep up that pace. Very good. Doing great.
It is so hard to be riding a bike and having a thing shoved in your mouth and you got wires and stuff all over you.
And honestly, like I said, I've never done a stress test situation type of deal, but listen, I get winded just riding a bike, period. Let alone you put all that shit on my face, and I'm not morbidly obese, so I'm like, how are they doing this? Like, damn, like, good for you, Vanessa, for surviving. But shit, I was really like, I don't know that I could get through that. Like, kudos to you, Vanessa. Kudos to you with the low blood sugar and everything. So Vanessa leaves the testing center to call her sister, and she talks a little bit about how like she's only talked to Jackie here and there since the whole moving situation happened. I'm just like, oh, I know this is about to be some bullshit. I know Jackie's about to be on some level of bullshit, and I wasn't wrong. In fact, the thing that annoyed me the most is that Jackie kept bringing everything back to money, and that to me was annoying, because like, at one point, Vanessa's like, oh, how are things going? And Jackie's like, well, I'm just working a lot. I'm working opening shifts because I have to pay more bills now. And then Vanessa tries to like genuinely ask about how the animals are doing, which like, I don't know what animals she got. I don't think we ever saw that. But it's clear that they had animals together. And Vanessa's like, how are those animals doing? And instead of Jackie like reassuring Vanessa that the animals are good, that they're okay, she just says, they're expensive. Like, could you chill out for 2 seconds? Like, also, if you need help with the money, that's, like, not a way to ask for it, you know? like, if you're struggling to, like, pay for food for the animals, just say that. Just say, like, oh, like, they're doing good, but, like, I could really use some help with feeding them because I can't afford it. You know what I'm saying? That's just like really passive aggressive, and I don't love it. And I also am just annoyed because Vanessa does bring up to Jackie that she's working really hard to get weight loss surgery, and Jackie is like still trying to talk her out of it.
So you're still gonna have surgery?
Jackie, I've been putting my everything into this. I really do want to get it.
I mean, if you're putting everything into it and you're seeing results, then why do you need to have surgery? You can do it on your own.
Tell you, I'm working.
You're losing weight on your own, I mean.
And in general, I guess I understand where Jackie's coming from in the sense that, like, yeah, if you could lose some level of weight on your own, then why do you need to go through having a whole ass surgery? But I also feel like Dr. Proctor has talked about this on previous episodes, that, like, even when he was talking, I think, to Tina when she went in individually, that, like, once you're over a certain amount of weight, like, sometimes it's just hard to do prolonged weight loss on your own. Like, you'll be very successful for a certain period of time, and then it's very difficult to maintain that without additional help of tools like weight loss surgery. Not saying that's the only way, but that's just, like, an example of the way that Dr. Proctor talks about it. And so I don't think she understands the concept that Vanessa might need more additional help past the point of like what she can do on her own. I will say though that I feel like Vanessa shared some information in this part of the episode that, I don't know, maybe humanizes Jackie a little bit more, helps you understand why she's so critical about surgery, about Vanessa getting surgery in particular, because it sounds like Jackie's just worried about losing another person in her life. So in the past, Vanessa has had a series of different medical issues and almost, I guess, died once from having some kind of flesh-eating disease. Vanessa also mentions that, you know, she's essentially lost everybody in her life. So we already, I think, knew about the mom and dad, but then she also mentioned another sister that they've lost. And so it sounds like really biologically the only person that Jackie has is Vanessa. So I guess that helps me understand a little bit more about what Jackie's reservations are. I do think though that like Jackie's not great at communicating those things, and also should probably like try to unpack those things in therapy if she ever had a chance or access to it. I think that would be really helpful. I know that therapy is not an option to everybody, but it seems like there's some stuff that Jackie needs to unpack and also work on in terms of like her communication skills when it comes to talking about these things with her sister. And then we get this little brief montage of Megan and or Vanessa working out for the days leading up to their appointment with Dr. Proctor, which I guess I should have said, like, a lot of this episode is them talking here and there about getting ready for their appointment with Dr. Proctor. Megan's gonna check in, see how she's doing, because if you remember the last time she went to go see him, he was like, girl, you have not lost enough for having just had the surgery like a year ago. And Vanessa is going to go so she can see if she's below 400 pounds and is able to get the surgery. So we do see all of these different montages of them working out.
It's me out. Oh, my knees. I feel it in here. Ow! Feel the bird.
It's kind of like we're trying to fit 30 years of exercise into 1 week.
And honestly, I really appreciate it because it felt so much more also authentic than what the 1,000 Pound Sisters did. I feel like every time we ever saw Amy or Tammy working out, it was just like a gag that they did specifically for the show. Whereas in these cases, I feel like it looked like Megan and Vanessa were doing like actual workouts that were recommended to them by people. Like the most we ever got from Amy and Tammy was like a shake weight moment. And then in season 3, there was that moment where Amy went and worked out with the moms or whatever. And it all just felt like those were just like one-off things they did. Whereas it feels like Vanessa and Megan are actually maybe doing these things in their day-to-day life to achieve their goals. So Megan and Vanessa do go to Dr. Proctor's, and honestly, going into their weigh-ins, I'm feeling relatively like optimistic for both of them, to be honest. It does feel like, from what we've seen on the show at least, that they've both been working really hard to meet their goals. Megan is worried that Dr. Proctor is going to think that she's wasting his time, and I think that that just like speaks to how she thinks about herself in general. Like, she has so much time to give to everybody else, and then she just like assumes that everybody else is gonna feel like she's a waste of their time. And I don't know, I think that some of that stuff is stuff that she can continue to work on as she works through therapy and works on like having more self-confidence and being more confident in who she is. We also find out that Megan has been thinking a lot about how she could lose an extra 5 pounds before weighing in.
You know, I have thought of every possible way that I could lose 5 more pounds before I weigh in today. I don't know if I should go to the bathroom, get naked, or just run away.
Which I think that is somewhat relatable, because like I think we've all been like going to the doctor's office and getting ready to weigh in and thinking like, wow, my shoes probably weigh so much. Why did I wear a jacket, a hoodie today? Because I could just be wearing one layer of clothing. Or at least I've thought about that before, okay? And much less serious situations regarding my weight. Like, I was not even going to the doctor to talk about my weight, and I'm just thinking that before I step on the scale. And of course, we get to see Daddy Dr. Proctor again.
Hello.
Hello, ladies.
How you doing?
Good to see you again.
Hi.
Good to see you.
I always get a little nervous when I'm around you.
So Megan gets ready to weigh in. The last time she was there, she was 329 pounds. And Dr. Proctor is like, listen, at this point, you should be close to 275. But she ends up weighing in at 303 pounds, which is not nearly as much as Dr. Proctor was expecting. Now, one thing that kind of, I don't know, seemed like a little thoughtless on Dr. Proctor's end is that he full on does actually say that she's one of his least successful patients. And maybe for some other people, that would be fine, because I think that like other people probably have, you know, the mental confidence to not be taken back by that. But I think that that's like, I don't know, I think he probably should have reconsidered how he talked about her success or lack of success with the program, because I feel like that's something that Megan's gonna really internalize. Like, she does not have the self-confidence to hear somebody say that she's one of the least successful patients they've ever had. You know what I'm saying? And I think his intentions were good, for sure. I think that he wasn't trying to, like, make her feel bad about herself. I think, in fact, he probably thought he was, like, encouraging her by saying, like, listen, you need to get it together because you're not being very successful right now. But I'm just saying, like, I think the wording could have been reconsidered. But with that being said, Dr. Proctor does do a lot of reassuring of Megan, saying that he still thinks there's time for her to turn it around and for her to make more progress. So I still think he is very supportive and does want the best. Again, I just think that it was probably not the best choice of words when talking to a patient like Megan. And Vanessa weighs in, and her goal, like I said a little bit ago, is to get under 400 pounds. If she gets under 400 pounds, Dr. Proctor has said that he will do surgery. And she gets on the scale, and she is 398 pounds. And I just, like, I don't know, I was just elated. I've come to really love and appreciate Vanessa. You know, I think when the show first started, people are like, wow, this woman is so out there. But I also just feel like she is actually such, like, a nice person and clearly has been through some shit in her life and also is, like, actively trying to improve her life. And I've just been so touched by her the whole episode. Like, I don't want to cry about it because I don't know why I would, but I find myself getting emotional. But I was just so proud of her. Like, it was just so good to see her, like, work really hard on something that she cared about. To see her go from, like, living in this, like, toxic environment to getting therapy to working on changing her behaviors. And she accomplished her goal. And I just, like, I don't know. I was just very proud of her. And I don't know if she watches my videos, but I know Tina and Megan do. So Tina and Megan, just tell Vanessa I'm very proud of her. And I'm so glad that she accomplished so much. And she's such a lovely person. And I do hate to keep comparing this to Amy and Tammy's show, but it's just like, it felt like so long since we were able to just truly celebrate somebody. I mean, I guess we got to celebrate Chris a little bit in season 3, but it's just such a different vibe, you know? Like, everybody's supportive of one another. They're all friends. They're all besties. And I just really appreciate that. So the episode ends, and it ends on a scene where Vanessa decides to have, like, a little get together with all of her friends, her kids, and she also invites Jackie. All the girls are real sus of Jackie coming. Tina even picks her seat at the picnic table based on Jackie coming.
I want the chair that I can get out the easiest when Jackie starts flipping out.
Flipping the table.
And obviously Megan is also very worried because the last time Megan interacted with Jackie was the day that she was helping Vanessa move, and Jackie, like, lost it on Megan. And I know last week I shared that clip of Little Women Atlanta. I know I shared that clip of the two twins walking in and going, hey everybody. But Jackie walking into this party was very that.
Living it up, huh? Hey. Jacob, hey. Gosh, I've missed you. How you been?
Hey. How y'all doing?
The whole scene was so uncomfy. It was just there was so much awkward silence, which I don't know if, like, TLC just edited that shit in there. Like, I'm sure there were some natural, like, pauses where nobody was talking, and I feel like TLC could have just, like, left those pauses in. But the way it was edited was very uncomfy. So Vanessa announces to everybody, I think her friends already knew, so basically she was announcing to Jackie that she was approved for weight loss, and in confessionals we get Vanessa saying, listen, I'm ready to cut ties with Jackie. If she can't be there for me, if she can't be supportive, I'm ready to cut ties. And that's where the episode ends. So that's the cliffhanger. What is Jackie's response gonna be? What's gonna happen next week? Tune in. Make sure you come see it. It looks like from the previews for next week, we'll get to see Tina going back to Dr. Proctor. We also get to see them go to the high school reunion they've been talking about for the past couple of episodes, where I think Megan is gonna confront an ex. And we also get to see Vanessa have surgery next week. So I'm very excited to see what happens. I've been loving the besties. I've been loving Megan and Tina interacting with me on Instagram. They really are super nice. And also make sure to go follow Tina's YouTube channel because I think she's trying to like pick that up. Also follow them. They're all on Instagram at a minimum. So go check them out there too if you want to support the besties more. Otherwise, that's all I have for today's video. I had so much fun with y'all. If you're brand new to my channel, make sure to subscribe down below. I'll leave a playlist of every single 1,000 pound bestie video I've ever made so you can get caught up. Make sure to leave a comment down below, hit like, click share, and follow me on all of my social media at thezacharymike. I had so much fun today. I hope you did too, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!